Hi everyone. In the video you are about to watch, we hope to equip you with the knowledge and understanding necessary to get your Chinese proprietary medicines and voluntary notification system submissions right. First, we will show you how to identify the applicable submission type for your complementary health product. Knowing how to identify the submission type is fundamental to ensuring you comply with the applicable requirements for your product. The video will also help you to understand the information and supporting documents required to be submitted in Chinese proprietary medicines, or CPM, and voluntary notification system, or VNS, applications. We will share some points to note and key details to look out for when you submit your CPM and VNS applications. By the end of this video, you will be well equipped to prepare good quality CPM and VNS submissions.
Good morning, Henry. What are you up to?
Hi, Phoebe. I was just looking at this complementary health product that I think we should import it. But I am not sure if it requires pre-market approval in Singapore.
Do you know that the Health Sciences Authority has a complementary health products classification tool, which is a quick guide to help companies determine the classification of typical complementary health products? It will also provide information on the applicable regulatory requirements. It is available on their website.
Hey Henry, that's right. There will be different regulatory requirements for the various complementary health products. Let me share briefly with you. For Chinese proprietary medicines, it requires dealer licensing and mandatory product listing. For health supplements, traditional medicines, medicated oils, balms and medicated plasters, these products are not subject to dealer licensing and pre-market approval. However, you may voluntarily notify such products with the HSA via VNS. There are some similarities and differences between the submissions of the CPM product listing and VNS. For the differences, CPM applications are submitted through Prism, which is an electronic system, and the documents are attached in Prism. For VNS, the notifications are submitted using Form SG and the documents are to be emailed separately. If the complete set of documents are not submitted within 2 working days, the submission is not accepted. As for the similarities, the turnaround time for both CPM and VNS submissions are 60 working days, excluding the time taken by companies to respond. There are currently no fees required for the CPM product listing application and VNS submission. If you require more information on the processes and documents required for CPM product listing as well as VNS, you can refer to the guidelines on the HSA's website.
Thanks for sharing, Charles.
Yes. I will check out HSA's website to understand more on the requirements. Could you also please share with us some tips on filling up the application or submission form?
Here are some considerations you may want to take note of when filling up the form, which is applicable to both CPM and VNS. Please ensure that the information is consistent between the form and the documents. Always check for typographical errors, particularly in the product name. For example, spelling mistakes, singular versus plural forms, such as tablet versus tablets, and inconsistency in spacing in hyphen. When filling up information on ingredients, please check that all the active and inactive ingredients, and their quantities are declared accurately. Active ingredients refer to those that contribute to the intended function of the product, while inactive ingredients refer to those that do not contribute to the intended function of the product. For example, coloring agents, flavoring agents, preservatives, capsule shell ingredients. Only products containing ingredients in the list can be listed or notified. If the ingredient is not found in the list, you may request to add the ingredient via email for CPM or via a separate Form SG request form for VNS. Lastly, on the things to note when you declare the ingredients on the form, the quantities of the ingredients to be declared should be by weight in 1 unit dosage form of the product. For herbal extract ingredients, the quantity to be declared should be the raw herb equivalent amount. For example, a 250 mg of herbal extract that is extracted from 5 g of raw herb, the quantity to be declared is 5 g. Next on the things to note when submitting documents, the file names should be in English. For CPM, you will attach the documents in Prism under the correct heading. For VNS, the documents are to be submitted via email as attachments. The file name should include the document number as listed in the checklist of documentary requirements for voluntary notification of CHP. For example, the certificate of analysis, being the third document on the checklist, should have a file name that reflects accordingly with the number rather than generic file names like Doc1 or certificate.
Great! Now I know what to look out for when submitting the form. Oh yes, what important points should I note regarding the documents to be submitted?
For manufacturer license or certificate, ensure that it is not expired. If the license or certificate issued has no validity period indicated, the issue date should be within 3 years from the date of submission. Next, ensure that the scope of the license or certificate includes the dosage form of the product, if applicable. Thirdly, please note that the manufacturer license must be issued by the regulatory authority responsible for the product type and the place of manufacture. For VNS, the GMP certificate submitted should adopt acceptable manufacturing standards listed in our guidelines. The manufacturing certificate from third-party certification body should be accredited by the Singapore Accreditation Council, SAC, or other accreditation bodies listed under SAC's Mutual Recognition Agreement. Please refer to the guidelines on manufacturing standards of health supplements and traditional medicines for more information. Next, for product labels, all labeling must be in English. Information in other languages, if any, should be consistent with the English text. Please ensure that all labels of all pack sizes declared on the form are to be submitted. If the batch number and expiry date of the product are printed on the packaging directly instead, the location of this information should be provided. Lastly, to comply with the applicable labeling requirements for CPM, TM, HS to ensure a smoother submission. Here are some common issues to take note so that you do not make the same mistake. Firstly, missing batch number and expiry date. You may indicate the placeholders for batch number and expiry date on the artwork to be submitted, and secondly, missing information on the importer's name and address. Moving on, the finished product specification sheet should be submitted during the application or notification submission. It is a set of tests and limits that are applied to the product in order to ensure that every batch is of satisfactory and consistent quality throughout its shelf life. The finished product specification sheet should include the parameters affecting the safety and quality of the product, such as parameters relating to the dosage forms, acceptance limits for finished product at batch release. The testing method and acceptance limits for each test parameter should be stated and in accordance with established pharmacopoeias or determined by the manufacturer or product owner with justification. You may refer to the respective guidelines for the relevant product physical testing parameters. Next document that should be submitted during the application or notification submission is the manufacturing process. It is the structured sequence of steps and processes used to manufacture the raw materials into finished products. The process provides information on the critical manufacturing steps that could affect the quality of the finished product. It can be presented as a flowchart or description of the process, as seen in the examples here. For the test report on toxic heavy metals and microbial limits, here are key points to note. The test must be conducted on finished products. If it is a tea bag or capsule, please note that the test report must reflect that the test is conducted on the tea bag or capsule, and not their contents. If the finished product is capsules in a bottle, the test should not be conducted on the capsules in Ziploc bag. Secondly, the brand name, if any, and product name should be consistent with the application or notification form. Thirdly, check that the batch number is stated. To add on, if the tests on toxic heavy metals and microbial limits were done separately, the same batch should be tested and reflected on both test reports. The test report must be within 2 years from the date of submission of the application or notification form. The test result cannot be stated as less than legal limit, that is to say it must be the actual reading or numeric value. For example, the legal limit for lead is 10 ppm, and stating the result of lead is less than 10 ppm is not acceptable. The actual reading has to be stated, such as 1.9 ppm in the mock-up test report shown here. A product with a test result that is too close to the legal limit is likely to fail retesting conducted by different laboratories or using different equipment. For the specification of the microbes, example Escherichia coli, Salmonella and Staphylococcus aureus, the specification of absent in 1 gram or 10 grams should be stated. Next, if not detected is stated for the toxic heavy metals result, the limit of detection must be indicated, and lastly, the name and signature of the analyst must be included. Besides the test report, there is also a certificate of analysis or COA to be submitted. This is issued by the manufacturers to certify that the products manufactured by them have undergone specific testing with results that conform to the finished product specifications. The COA should contain relevant product physical testing parameters as stated in the respective guidelines. For example, disintegration time is one of the test parameters for capsules or tablets dosage form. Lastly, ensure that there are specification and results for the various tested parameters in the COA. Next, on undertaking forms, in particularly the transmissible spongiform encephalopathy or TSE undertaking form. If the product contains ruminant-derived materials that are used in the preparation of both active ingredients, for example sheep or deer placenta, and/or inactive ingredients, you are required to indicate on the application or notification form. It includes capsule shells using gelatin derived from ruminants. The TSE undertaking form is required for products containing ruminant-derived ingredients only. The undertaking form should be signed by the local company representative making the submission. If the undertaking form is signed by the overseas manufacturer, the company representative is required to countersign on the form. The other undertaking form is the website address or QR code on packaging materials undertaking form. This is for companies to undertake that the product claims on the specific website are aligned to the product claims on the label. The undertaking form is required only if the product packaging materials contain any website address or QR code. Similarly, the form should be signed by the local company representative making the submission. If the forms are signed by the overseas manufacturer, the company representative is required to countersign on the form. Lastly, test report on adulterants from laboratories with accredited testing methods is required to be submitted for high-risk products. For VNS, test report on the specific medicinal substances shown in the table here are required for the respective product category. For high-risk CPM, a general common poison screening is required instead. Toxic heavy metals and microbial contamination must also be tested at laboratories with accredited testing methods.
That is a lot of things to note, Charles. But now I know what to look out for when submitting the documents. Thanks.
We hope this video has helped you understand how to prepare a thorough and compliant submission, whether it is for CPM or VNS. Some final notes to ensure a smooth submission. Firstly, comply with the relevant CPM or notification requirements. You may refer to the applicable guidelines on the HSA website. Secondly, exercise caution when keying in the information on the form. Review all details meticulously before submission, checking for typos, and ensuring all required information is accurately declared and consistent across the form and documents. Thirdly, when submitting the documents, ensure that the documents are for the correct product and are valid, if applicable. For CPM submissions, upload all required documents under the appropriate headings. For VNS submissions, submit all necessary documents as email attachments within 2 working days of submitting the Form SG notification form. Lastly, please ensure that all points have been addressed and carefully review all information and documents before responding to queries. For more information on the submission process and documentary requirements of CPM product listing and VNS notification submission, please visit the HSA website and refer to the various guidelines. The CPM and VNS guidelines can also be accessed using the QR codes in this video.